Hey guys, this is Denise from LoomaHat.com. On this video, I'm going to show you how to make this cabled slouchy hat, and it's good for men or women. And I'm going to be using the 66 peg Cindy loom, but you could use any loom with more than 40 pegs, because for a slouchy hat you do need a big a big loom. And the Peyton's classic wool yarn. You could use any yarn. I just happen to like wool for cables because it's easier to stretch. Okay, get the rest of your materials and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I do is that I mark my loom. I'm not good with keeping track. I get distracted, and this helps me. If you've got the pattern printed, then it's easy to know how to put these on. I have two layers, as you notice, so I put the last one first, because if I want to take off these red ones, I can do that after I'm done with this pattern. This is the rib stitch. It's every other, so I knit on red and purl when I don't have a rubber band. So my first thought is, when I'm knitting, is that I'm following the red for the rib stitch pattern, and then I use the bottom ones, which are the blue, for the hat pattern, which is the cables. And again, I will knit where there's a blue rubber band, and I will purl where there is none. Okay, if I decide to leave these, then I know to only follow the blue and not the red. And these are the rainbow loom rubber bands, but you can also use the rubber bands that are for braids. And I like them because they come in, gosh, I don't know how many colors, and you get like hundreds of them for $1 at your local beauty parlor supply, or just about anywhere. So that's how I mark the loom. So hope that helps. Okay, the first step to all loom knitting projects is the cast on. And in many projects, your best bet is the chain cast on, which gives you this nice clean edge. It's not loopy, it's nice and tight, and it works well with a lot of stitches. So let me show you how to do that. You need the crochet hook in order to do this chain cast on. Some people think of it as the crochet cast on, but it's not. But you do need a crochet hook. Okay, and make sure that when you pick your crochet hook, it is the one that works well with the yarn size that you have. Okay, so first thing you do is that you get your yarn and you do a slip knot. And you put the knot on the inside of your loom. Okay, so as you can see, the little knot is on this side, and your yarn is then on the outside. Okay, and you see that there's like a little bend going on here. Okay, you're gonna work on the inside with your yarn on the outside. So you get your crochet hook and you go in between those first two pegs and you pull your yarn, and then you go to the next two on the other side and you grab your yarn with your hook with the face up, and grab it and turn your hook and pull. Okay, again, here's the next set, and you're going to put your hook in between those two like this. Your yarn is in your hook, you turn your hook and you pull it through. Okay, tighten up your work, go back in, pull your yarn with your hook up, and then turn it and pull out. And basically that is your chain cast on. And you're going to keep doing that until you get to the end of your project. The end of your loom. Or if you're doing a flat panel, then wherever that last one is, in the case of a hat, well, it's back at the front, which would be here. Okay, but for learning purposes, let's say this is the last peg. So you take the yarn off your hook and you place it on that last peg and you pull your yarn, and that is the last of the loops. Okay, that's how you do the chain cast on. So we're at the last step of the chain cast on, and this is my last loop right before I get back to where I started. So I take that loop and I put it on that last peg, and I tighten my loop, and I bring my yarn over, and here it is, and I bring it back to the front, and now I'm ready to start my border, which is a rib stitch border. And a rib stitch has a basic pattern of knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one. And I've marked my loom with the red rubber bands. And so where it's red, I'm gonna knit, and where it's purl, and where it's no red, I'm going to purl. So I'm knitting here, and I'm gonna do a U wrap, and I'm bringing my yarn around, and if you see, it forms a U when I do that. Okay, so that is the knit stitch using a U-wrap. And I bring my yarn down, sorry. I'm actually in a really awkward position, so it's a little hard to do. I bring my yarn back to the front, and now I'm going to do a purl stitch. And for the purl stitch, I put my yarn under. This is a knit, this is a purl. Okay, so I'm purling my next stitch is a purl, so I put it under. I take my hook and I put it through the loop, grab the yarn, feed it through, and create a new loop right here. And I take the existing loop off the peg. You can use your hook to do that, or your hand. And then I put the new loop on the peg, and I stretch. So here was knit, here was purl, here's another knit, and again I make a U-wrap. And this is not as awkward if I'm sitting down, because it's just, this is not the way I knit. I'm usually sitting. And I take my my bottom one and I wrap it up, and that's a knit. And here I don't have a red mark, so I'm going to purl. So I bring my yarn under, get my hook, pull it up, and take this existing loop off my peg, and I put the new loop on the peg, and that's my purl. And so here's my red mark. I'm going to do a knit, and I'm going to U-wrap and take my yarn and just loop it over. Okay, so that was my knit and purl, and I'm going to do this for 13 rounds. So I'm going to go around my loop 13 times doing this same exact thing, and that is going to create my rib stitch border, which is right here. Okay, so this is my knit and this is my purl. This is what it's going to look like. And to do this, I did the knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl for 13 rounds. Okay, so I'll see you back at the beginning right here after you've done your 13 rows of rib stitch. Okay, so at this point you should be done with your 13 rows of rib stitch, and it should look something like this. Sometimes these are kind of tight, so they stick up like that. Don't worry about it, no big deal. Okay, it's time to work now on the top part of your work, right? So you finish this part here, and now we're on to the top part. And the way you manage the cables is that you need to do some knit first, and then you're going to do a roll of cable. So let's do those first rows of knitting. And for me, I'm going to follow the pattern based on my blue markers, right? So we have the 2 knits, 2 purls, 1 knit, 2 purls. Okay, that's basically the pattern. 2 knits, 2 purls, 1 knit, 2 purls. And you're just going to continue that all the way around the loom, and we're going to do that 5 times, and then we're going to do a cable. Now we're doing the knit differently here from the way we were doing it when we did the rib stitch. On the rib stitch we used a U-wrap knit. Here we want the knitting to show up. We want it to pop up, and it's not going to do that if you do a U-wrap. A U-wrap tends to be a lot flatter, and you don't want flat, you want it to pop up. And in order to get that, you need to do a different type of knit. And so here we're going to U-wrap, we're going to E-wrap the peg and knit. Okay, so we knit these two like this. Wrap around the peg, wrap around the peg, and then go get your bottom loop and bring it over the top. Okay, get that bottom loop and bring it over the top. Okay, that's the knitting you're going to do here, because at this point now we want this to show up really good, and these stitches are looser than the U-wrap, and so they pop up more. Another thing I want you to note is that at the end, if you don't have enough pegs, or somehow your pattern works out a little funky and you end up with 2 knits over here or 3, change it up at the end so that you have 2 purls next to these 2 knits, and really focus on making sure that there are 2 purls next to every knit, that in between the knit there are 2 purls. And so I had to change my pattern up at the end because of the number of pegs that I have. So right here you have you know, 2 knits, 2 purls, 1 knit, 1 purl, 2 knits, 2 purls. Okay, so it changed up a little over here at the end simply because I wanted to make sure that the knit was always next to purls, that in the middle of 2 purls there was knit. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can email me, put a comment at the bottom, or go to the website and ask me to explain this to you in a different way, and I will do my best. Okay, so like I said, it's best to pick up the pattern on the site and print it so that you can follow along. But if not, all we're going to do for right now is 2 knits, 2 purls, 1 knit, 2 purls. So you can write that down and just follow it all around the loom for 5 rows, and then we're going to come back so I can show you how to do the cables. Really easy, not to worry. Okay, and just remember that the knits here are an E-wrap knit, not a U-wrap knit, because we want it to be nice and loose. All right, you already know how to do the purl stitch, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so you should have finished your 18th row, which was the basic pattern of the 2 knits, 2 purls, 1 knit, 2 purls, right? And now that has formed the long part of the cable, and now we're here where we're gonna actually do the cable stitch. And this is pretty simple. Anywhere you see 2 knits, that's where you're gonna do the cable. I took off my red ones just because I can't focus that way. It's just easier for me to have just one color. So on my first round, I removed the reds. And so now I know that wherever I see 2 knits together, I'm gonna do a cable. So cable, purl, knit 1, purl 2, cable, purls, knit 1, purl 2, cable. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do that only for this row, which is my 19th, and after this point I'm going to do 6 rounds of the regular knitting every time, and then a cable, and 6 rows, and then a cable, and then 6 rows, and then a cable. And I'm going to do that until I have the length of the hat that I want, minus the last 5. Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with the cable, and it's pretty simple. You're going to E-wrap 2 pegs. Okay, right here. And then you're going to remove the stitch off the first peg and hold on to that stitch, okay, with your fingers, and take the loop off the second peg and put it on the first, okay, and tighten that up a little bit, and then come here and take this one without taking the twist off, and that can be a little tricky. You could do it with your hands or with your hook, okay, and then just tighten it just a bit. Pull here and just tighten that just a little bit, okay, and then you come here to the second one and you E-wrap and knit over, and then you come here and you're going to do a purl. Oh, sorry about that. It's a little awkward again because this is usually not the way I knit. I'm usually sitting down. Okay, so I did the cables here, and then I went ahead and I did a purl. I'm going to do a purl here on this next one, and then I have a single stitch here, right? A single knit, so I'm knitting that one. And then I'm going to come here and do 2 more purls, because I continue the pattern, okay? I continue doing the same thing I've been doing for 5 rows. The only exception is that on this 6th row, I am going to do a cable when I see 2 knits, right? So there's 2 knits, and so I'm going to do another cable. Real easy. E-wrap, knit over, and some people do their cables differently. This has worked for me, and so this is how I do them. Remove the loop off the first one and make sure you keep the twist. Remove it from the second and swap loops. That's all you're going to do. tighten up a little, come here, ooh, sorry about that, and put it on there and tighten up, because otherwise it looks a little funky. So tighten up your yarn, not too much that you can't get this to come over, but enough so that it doesn't look loose, okay? Wrap your peg. That's the second peg that you're wrapping. And then get the loop that's under and get it with your hook. Sorry about that. And then just, sorry. Wow. And then just wrap over. Okay? And then go to the next one where you're going to purl again. And you're going to continue your pattern. Which is the purl, you know, purl 2. There's one. Here's the second one. And I'm going to knit one here, and this is 2 purls over here, right? And I'm going to go to the next one, and we're going to do one more cable, and then I'm going to stop there. And after I do this round where I do cables on my 2 knits, when I'm done with this round, I'm gonna start again on the regular pattern, right? And for me, that went up to 50 rounds. That I would do 6 of the normal pattern, let's call it the cableless pattern, and then row number 7 I would cable the 2 knits, right? And then 6 rounds cableless, and then 1 round with cables until I got to round 55. Okay, so make your hat as long as you want minus the last 5, and in those last 5 what I did was I just E-wrapped and knit the whole 5 rounds. Just E-wrap. Okay, no longer was there a pattern, I just E-wrapped. And then I closed the hat. So let's do those 50 rounds. Let's get up to 50 rounds and E-wrap the last 5. Okay, which is basically this right here. You knit every single peg for 5 rows, which gives you 55 rows in total, and then I want to show you how to close the hat. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so I continued the pattern and I finished my row number 50. I'm gonna make my hat only 55 rows because I want it slightly slouchy. If you want your hat really slouchy, then go ahead and get to 55, and the last 5 rows then is what we're about to do now. We were doing the knit 2, purl 2, knit 1, purl 2, so we're not going to do that on the last 5 rows because I want a different look. If you want to continue, by all means do so, but for me, I like the last 5 rows not to be that way. So I'm going to knit my last 5 rows, okay? And I'm showing you on this little loom because it's hard to see what I'm doing on the big loom. Basically, you're here now where you have 1 loop on each peg. And to just do your basic E-wrap knit, you need 2 rows of loops in order to do that. Okay? I mean, you could do 3, 4, whatever, but you need at least 2. So we have our first row already on. And we're going to go ahead and wrap all of our pegs in order to have that second row and be able to knit. And this is the easiest thing in the world. You don't even have to think. You can sing or save the world while you do this. That's how easy it is. You do 2 loops on each peg, and then you just get the bottom over the top. That's your regular knitting. okay? And that's what you're going to do on those last 5 rows. Just knit the last 5 rows, nothing else. And keep going and going and going, wrap it again and knit again. So this is what you're doing for the last 5 rows. So finish those 5 and I'm going to show you how to close the hat. I finished my 5 rows of just the basic E-wrap knitting, right? And actually I think I did an extra one, so it might be 6. And now I'm ready to close my hat. And basically what I do is I take my yarn around the loom. I'm going to actually go a little more than 1 1/4, right, around, and cut the yarn. You can use a needle if you want. I don't for this project. I sometimes do, but it's not necessary. I'm going to show you a way that you could just do it with your hook, so you don't have to have more than one tool when you're knitting. So all I do is I push down my loop and scoop up the yarn. And at the beginning, because it's so much yarn, it'll take you a little while, but you know, it's okay. And just keep doing that all around the loom. Just scoop it up. Like if you were going to do a purl stitch, that's basically what you're doing, except you're pulling the yarn all the way out. Okay, so just keep doing that, and let's meet back at the front. Okay, these are my last 2 where I'm feeding the yarn through the pegs, right? And then what I'm gonna do basically is to pull the loops off of the peg, right? Like this. Just pull them off. Pull it down, pull it off. And the only difference in your needle and the hook is that when you do the needle, usually you're feeding it through and pulling it off at the same time. So give or take, there's little difference other than I hate threading the needle and just going through the whole, for me it's a lot of changes. Don't want to carry around a needle, so this just makes it easier. So I just keep pulling them off until every loop is off the peg. Okay, so every peg is free of loops, no more. So I just pull the hat off of the loom, right? And pull my string, and the hat will start to close. See? And before you completely close the hat, go ahead and feed your leftover and turn the hat around inside out like that. And go ahead and finish pulling your string. And then here it's really up to you what you want to do. If you're going to put a pom-pom on it, then put the string, pull it tight, not too tight, leave enough so that you can put the string back out because you're going to need it to attach the pom-pom. But if you're not going to attach anything to it like me, then you can just make a knot right here, right? Which I'm going to do because I am done with my hat. So there's my knot, and I make it really tight, and I'll make a second knot, but just so that you see that we're done. And that's it. Okay, so the hat is done, and you have your nice pretty cables that are done. I did want to show you a couple of things. Here, somehow I got distracted, and if you can see, I have a cable that's longer than the other ones. Somehow, you know, I forgot to click, right? And so I probably put more rows on this one than these. No big deal. That's just the way it looks. So I wanted to show you that sometimes boobles happen, but no big deal. The hat still looks good. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them on the comment. It's a good idea to stop by the website and pick up a copy of the pattern. And if you have any questions, you can leave them there as well. I will see you on the next tutorial. God bless. Ciao.